The world is not a pleasant place. I mean, for the most part, the world is very ugly. Or should I say, civilization is very ugly. This modern civilization with its traffic, its waste, its cobbled together broken jigsaw puzzle of industry. Ravenous psychopathic corporate entities raping and killing this world for the almighty dollar, unable to see the forest through the trees. There's no vision. Other than becoming ridiculously rich and owning everything, there's no vision at all. And this sort of chaos is directly reflected by us in our everyday lives. The lack of vision. And vision is so very important. Visualization is the first step in creation. People ask me how I'm able to create so much with so little. It is because of vision. Which may seem a bit ironic, coming from a person who wears dark glasses all the time. A visionary whose eyes you never see? Ah, but there is a reason that I wear the glasses of a blind man. For I have shut my eyes to the ugly sight of what the world has imposed upon me, and have opened them to the world that I can create. I see a world where the top priority of its people is to have fun, to work for happiness. I see communities working together for a common goal. Joy. I see schools teaching children subjects they're actually interested in learning and encouraging play as much as any curriculum. I see community with design and pleasing aesthetics at every turn, and tearing down the walls of this rat's maze we stagger through on a daily basis. No, I refuse to accept the ugliness of this world. In the world I see, my eyes are clear, and they see nothing but beauty. And robots. Beauty and robots.
Do you know exactly what your family would do if an attack came? Say at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Plastic bombs in blue, doing everything I can do to build the robots. Build the robots. The filling of the room, 'cause all that I ever do is build the robots. I build the robots. I need assembly lines, a crew and much more time. The money's all mine and the funds will give a damn. I'm gonna have to rob a bank again. 'Cause I'm spending every dime and I'm spending all my time to build the robots. Just build the robots.
Robots have always been a big part of my life. They are a big part of many people's lives. The world is becoming more and more dependent on technology. Robots will continue to become increasingly indispensable in the world as we continue to develop various forms of artificial life, from nanotechnology to giant building-destroying robots of doom. I am convinced that the human race is simply an evolutionary stepping stone towards electronic life. I truly believe that machines will inherit the Earth. I mean, after all, let's look at what we're doing to our own environment. Contaminating our water, destroying our air and food supply. What other life form destroys the place in which it lives? It's counterproductive. Unless that's simply part of the plan. We continually manufacture and develop more and more technology without first asking the question, should we do this? We simply barrel ahead and create. And what we're creating is an environment where the only thing that will be fit to survive is a machine. Humans are flawed, and this will be our step up. Then, of course, after thousands upon thousands of years run by machines, something will go wrong. The machines will break down and fail, rust, and rot. And through the rot, organic life will emerge once again, and the whole thing will start over. That's if we don't successfully blow ourselves up first, and we'll just be tiny bits floating through space, which is fine too.
So, tell me about your robot band.
Robot band, yes. Well, there's some work to be done before it's fully functional. I've been experiencing some technical difficulties as of late.
Shake it up, lock it in your steps, lock it, go, 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 go.
But that's why I've enlisted the aid of human musicians for the time being.
Girls and boys
I am crazy. It's official. There's paperwork on it. There's graphs and everything, so it must be true. And let me tell you, it's a real load off my mind. I mean, it relieves a lot of responsibility for me. I always have an excuse if I feel like talking to myself or crawling around during a business meeting and barking. Well, then so be it. I'm bonkers. It's very convenient and fun. And I certainly have to be crazy, living in this world, to keep from blowing my brains out. Being insane allows me to be who I want to be. There are no longer any rules. I'm crazy, and I will become World Emperor. Even if it's simply because I'm convinced that I'm World Emperor. For all that we have is our perception. And whatever we perceive to be reality is in fact our reality. You want to get into quantum physics and all of that business where we start talking about the fact that we, as observers, in fact actually manipulate and manifest reality. We are intricately and subconsciously involved with the reality process. Once we know this, we can start to see what's happening all around us. Those who are in control are using this information to manifest a reality that is most advantageous for them. They introduce a point of view which may or may not have anything to do with what is actually happening in the world, and they reinforce it with a growing opinion through media. And what's interesting is the fact that the more people who believe these lies, the more real these lies become. Opinions or ideas become reality. Something imagined actually becomes tangible. This is happening in today's world. And with our own human inclinations towards fear, the majority of what is focused on and agreed on is fear-based. And this is encouraged because when people are afraid, they can be controlled. When a human being is afraid, the sensory input and brain patterns, the breathing and physicality of the body becomes less efficient. It stops working at its peak. It begins operating poorly. And as a result, a person is making poor decisions. Decisions that can be easily influenced. But apparently, simple influence isn't enough, because they have begun to introduce biological weapons into society through fast food, milk, the chemtrails in the sky. Yes, they are working overtime to keep us under control, because we pose a threat. We pose a threat with our minds, for we have the power to change the world, and they know this. With a vision, a focused vision, a unified vision, we can reform this world into a better place.
Tonight, Jay's all new and George Clooney makes a house call.
I played a doctor on TV you might not remember.
Plus, The Sopranos' Steve Sharippa, The Prez, and John the Announcer with the bands you won't see on American Idol.
Thanks, dude.
Then on Conan, Luke Wilson, Jack Klugman, the Sci-Fi Channel Ghost Hunters, and This I Can't Explain. Tonight,
It's the Dr.Steel Show. concealed and locked the door, so just sit back, enjoy the show.
A good question. Well, let's first look at the word propaganda, shall we? Let's see here. Pineapple. Propaganda.
Propaganda is the systematic propagation of a doctrine, cause, or information reflecting the views and interests of those advocating such a doctrine or cause.
Now, the word propaganda has received a bad rap ever since Hitler used it so effectively during World War II. But do you know where he learned his techniques of propaganda? From the United States government. Yes, and indeed, the United States is very good at this manifestation of opinion as fact. After World War II, the term propaganda was then replaced by the term public relations, which is far softer in tone, though it is precisely the same thing. Now, your assumption, which I appreciate, is that the toy soldiers are telling the one and only truth. However, we must look beyond the superficial message and into a deeper intent, and that is to reflect the lies of manipulative public relations. By proclaiming our words as propaganda, we inexcusably recognize what is happening all around us. We recognize the weapons of manipulation, and we aim to reveal them for what they are. I am very passionate about my message, though there is certainly a hefty dose of humor fed into the medicine, which is absolutely necessary for survival. But the real goal is to reveal the tricks of the system as to even the playing field. We are being manipulated and lied to, and the sooner that we learn how this is being done, the sooner we shall be able to peek behind the curtain to see the great Wizard of Oz for the little old man that he is. You see, once you know how the magic trick is performed, the magician ceases to have superhuman powers. And this is why I proudly and unapologetically spread propaganda. This is one of the most exciting subjects regarding the world of tomorrow. Currently, the educational system is structured in such a way as to keep both the students and the teachers from striving to be anything beyond obedient employees. The educational system of tomorrow will be the expansion of what we know today as the Internet, a collective and easily accessible database of ever-expanding information. But accessible information is only the beginning. Our attitudes must shift to encourage the individual to passionately pursue their sincere interests and talents. We live in a monetary-based system, or rather the illusion of a monetary-based system, and that keeps us living from day to day based on the limitations that it has set. The currency of tomorrow will be information, and that information will manifest only when people are living in a state of exploration and passion. No one wants to memorize and regurgitate information. It's a practice of temporary obedience. One learns something when one is interested in learning it, and more importantly, when the information applies directly to their life. We must encourage the people of this world to activate their talents and creative tendencies. This spans beyond artistic talent. This encompasses intellectual ideas, spiritual ideas, and in fact, all of these things shall become one when we are free from the primitive fear of survival. So, a shift must take place. A shift where education is not a have to, but a want to. It should speak very personally to the desires of the individual, and then we shall begin to reach beyond our grasp and achieve great things, each and every one of us. I would also like to reinstate the cookies and juice breaks, because I loved those when I was a kid, and then they went away. Get into junior high, and it's gone. Maybe nap time, too. Personally, no. No, I do not consume alcohol. I find it to be counterproductive for my purposes. There's simply too much to be done, and I require that I operate at my fullest potential at all times, and alcohol hinders such efficient performance. But I'm looking to transcend biology for this very same reason. For all of its greatness, the human form is often clunky, and it only slows me down. I'll be looking forward to many upgrades in the future. Well, monkeys are definitely high on the list. By all means, I do aim to preserve a safe and natural environment for such animals in the world of tomorrow. There's a necessary balance in this world of ours, and one that is currently being tread upon by man's lack of foresight. Progress and change, they do tend to go hand in hand, though we should be aware of the efficient aspects of nature as well. There is much to be learned from nature, for it has had a very, very long time to work out the kinks. We should put as much effort into understanding the ways of nature as well as working to advance beyond it. All in all, though, I look forward to having a robotic monkey of my own that I can dress up in little matching outfits as me. And plus, he wouldn't poop on stuff if he was a robot, so... Well, I would first awake from a fantastic dream about robots. Then I'd get up and enjoy a delicious breakfast of nano-generated foglet pancakes, which would efficiently supply me with all the nutrients that I require for top functionality of the day. Then I'd make my way to the lab and have a tremendously successful few hours of creative inspiration, which would lead to ultimate enlightenment. Then I'd probably watch some cartoons, take a walk through the gardens of the utopian playland. Be nice. Perhaps pop into a flying saucer for a spin across the globe to meet with some of the great minds of the world. Then, watch some more cartoons. There really aren't any other options for me. I'm a madman, you know. At one point I was employable, but I have since stepped into an entirely new threshold. I wouldn't be of any use doing anything else than what I'm doing right now, nor would I feel any passion for doing it. I must follow my own path. You must follow your own path. That is where you experience being alive. Otherwise, you're attempting to live somebody else's life, and that isn't living at all. It depends on the situation, but more often than not, it involves and probably as children, we lived in a world full of wonder. We were wide-eyed little sponges, soaking up experience and information. The world seemed so huge and exciting. As we grow older, the world shrinks. It shrinks in our minds as we are encouraged to fall into the safety of patterns. The system encourages our acceptance of such a microcosm. We're told that if we simply follow the rules and do what we're told to do, that everything will be okay and we will be taken care of. We're lulled into a false sense of security, for our very being thrives and hungers to grow, to live in a state of wonder, excitement, and most of all, creativity. The child is one who is instinctually able to create their own worlds. You watch little children playing, and they're constantly experiencing their own realities through their own imagination. This isn't a learned process. This comes completely naturally. The problem is that we are encouraged to grow away from this ability, or, more importantly, to experience the reality of the system. We manifest our own worlds still, but we do it unintentionally, and we do it in accordance with popular opinion. So, until we realize this, and until we realize how our realities are being programmed by others, we will never be able to pick up where we left off in the fantastic and creative world of our childhood.
Mission Control, this is Mars 295, ready for departure. Earth. The planet Earth. Roger, countdown is go at T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes. This is a difficult question. As such a tiny little library really should consist of wonderful books that I have yet to read. Well, I know the books I have read in the past and enjoyed, but while stuck on a desert island, I would best enjoy something that I haven't yet experienced. To this end, I would instead choose 3 authors and bring along their recent works, as I have yet to read them. The first would be something by Ray Kurzweil. Second would be something by Zechariah Sitchin. And the third would be something by Chuck Palahniuk. So that should hold me for a while, at least until I was able to build a jetpack out of coconuts and bamboo. Well, I once attempted to build a squirrel-operated hovercraft using a small inflatable swimming pool raft and an old vacuum cleaner. Sadly, the experiment was a failure, though the little helmet that I made for the squirrel looked very dashing on him. You can see here. Yeah. Well, I'm rather fond of the sound of an industrial air-driven compact drill. You know, the thing. I like that. There are some amazing bits of technology out there in the world today. I consider the tools that I utilize in realizing my ideas to fall under the toy category, for creating is my dearest passion, and I have a great deal of fun doing it. In the end, I would consider that my imagination is my favorite toy. Garbanzo. No, zoo. 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 Such a weird word. I don't know, garbanzo's better. I also like baboon. Baboon. Garbanzo zoo baboon. Yeah. Well, there are indeed foods that I enjoy eating, though I must admit that food as a whole is something I aim to circumvent in the future. I mean, the whole need to maintain a fuel level within the human body is a bit of an inconvenience. Not to mention the fact that there are so many counterproductive foodstuffs so readily available. The whole digestion process is rather messy, and the need to excrete waste is yet another inconvenience. I look forward to when nanotechnology shall allow us to directly access the nutrient ports of the human body. Eventually, we will evolve past the need for a stomach, and most likely will retain the option to eat foods that we enjoy, but it will be for recreational purposes. As for me, I want tiny little food pills with food dispensing robots inside. I can get so much more work done that way. And then, to circumvent the whole needing to sleep thing. This is a good question, for much of what the toy soldiers stand for currently is representing the passionate movement towards building a utopian playland. And utopian playland represents the idea that we should each harness and pursue our sincere passions in life to fill each moment with joy and creativity. So, to this end, once we take over the world, the toy soldiers will not only have been responsible for paving the way to such a brilliant new world, but they will have far more time to spend doing the things they want to do, for spreading the word will no longer be a primary objective. They may bask in the glow of this wonderful world they have helped to build. And I will occasionally need a ping-pong partner or two, so I'll keep your contact information on file.
You've been programmed to multiply. In the think of the question of pie. Stopping and plowing and driving the line. The signs, bunch of numbers, so that everything fits. Taking and thinking and taking and taking and taking every night, every night, every night. Oh no, I see the end of the road, but we explode before the ice age hits. Copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, if I'm not sure. And the gods and heroes are only ones and zeros. John has and sing along. Everything we know is wrong. Rock it, take it.
Goodness, probably
Congratulations! Welcome to Phase 2.
be a good sign. Well, we must move beyond all preconceived structures. This won't happen overnight, of course, but we must evolve. If we live with the old ways and within the old governments, we will remain in the same place. We mustn't generalize, and we must remain open to new ideas. This is the only way to move forward. We need to keep what works and throw away what doesn't work. History has a way of repeating itself because we tend to be afraid to try new things. We favor familiarity, but we will never be able to advance until we move into a new field of thinking. Let me ask you, if your choices were vanilla or chocolate ice cream, which would you choose? Personally, I would choose rainbow sherbet in a waffle cone with sprinkles on top. Don't simply take what's handed to you. It is innovation and forward thinking that makes us great. Now, where's my ice cream? Perhaps. Though, at the moment, I'm leaning a little bit more towards 60. Yes, tours of a lab will be available at some point. Currently, there are security measures to be maintained for my personal lab, but I will create an exact replica of my lab for the specific purposes of such tours. Maybe a few modifications, like a silly slide. Be fun. Yes, a good question indeed, and I do both. One must focus on an idea as well as act upon the inspiration. To imagine and visualize an idea in every detail as to make it real in your mind is just as crucial as physically assembling such a creation. Inspiration is also a key ingredient to this creative process, but I feel that inspiration will not come unless one is open to it, unless one's channels are primed for such inspiration, and this requires meditating on the possibilities. Oh, goodness, well, there are so many, really. I spent a lot of my youth listening to orchestral music, from Stravinsky to the film works of various composers. I liked music that sparked my imagination, and instrumentals often did that. I then discovered the work of Oingo Boingo through Danny Elfman's soundtrack work. I greatly enjoy many of the Pink Floyd albums as well as Queen. Queen did some very, very innovative things, as did the Beatles. Tom Waits is brilliant in many ways. I have so many influences, really, from vintage jazz to Nine Inch Nails to Pantera, So there's a wide spectrum of sound that I'm interested in. And to me, variety is very, very important. The ability to live as long as I want to. Yes, that would be my wish. And according to Ray Kurzweil, this wish may be granted in the not-too-distant future. There is indeed an aging gene within our own software, with the potential to be unlocked and altered. So the idea of extending one's lifespan opens up so many more possibilities. The grand things one could do if even your lifespan was doubled. This would be my wish. Well, either that or a swimming pool filled with gumballs would be pretty cool, too. Well, I have a deep, obsessive passion for creating. I live to create, and it's the only thing that I feel is really worth doing. So, creating is my activity of choice. This also includes reading and doing research, since I am in fact creating new little physical connections in my own mind as I do so. As far as passing the time goes, I aim to do as little time passing as possible, since there seems to be such small amounts of it. Oh, how I wish I had more time, for there is ever so much to be done. Do feel free to pass along any extra time you might have to me. You can put it in a padded envelope and send it to my P.O. box, and I would greatly appreciate it, and it would be very well spent, I can assure you. All right. Well, in terms of dead people, I would be very interested in speaking with Tesla, Nikola Tesla, though I'd let him do most of the speaking. Either Tesla or Gilgamesh, though I would imagine that Gilgamesh would probably be pretty difficult to get along with. In terms of living people, I'd like to speak with. Actually, I'd like to put together a jam session with Ray Kurzweil on keyboards, David Wilcock playing drums, and then Zecharia Sitchin on, I guess, some sort of ancient Sumerian instrument. But I'm certain that both the performance and the conversation thereafter would prove to be very interesting. So. The ability to spontaneously generate any necessary item, say like a sledgehammer or a stick of dynamite. I think that would be the best. Well, honestly, I'm not too interested in being cast for the acting role of president. The president is the actor who reads the commercials for the government. Although the perks might be somewhat interesting, therein lies only superficial power, as the real puppeteers are working behind the scenes. Instead, my aim is world emperor, and it is certainly time for a change. Regarding my strategies for swaying the masses, well, education. Once the people of this world truly understand what is controlling them and how, change will occur. And with this comes the desire to build a better world. A world with fresh perspective. One focused on creation rather than destruction. As is my vision for a utopian playland, I will ask you this. Would you rather live in a world full of war, or a world full of fun?
This great big world spreads its great big arms, sometimes for a warm embrace, or intending to do harm, and our minds so get all up, and we label
A touchy subject. Very touchy subject. You know, many advise against speaking about religion or politics, as it only ends in disagreements, though I would have to add this subject to the list as well. Let's see. Personally, if you had asked me this question before George Lucas had released the prequels to Star Wars, I would have confidently chosen Star Wars over Star Trek. This is even after seeing the Star Wars Christmas special. However, the more recent incarnations of Star Trek are indeed quite good. So, you know, the universe has a way of finding balance. And I feel that with the early content of Star Wars balanced against the recent incarnations of Star Trek, there's created some sort of a balance or oneness, in my opinion. How was that? Was that politically correct enough? Oh, goodness. The passion to reach beyond one's grasp. To see such a spark in someone is to see greatness. And that is exciting to me. To continually push onwards and expand one's horizons and realm of possibilities. To me, that is what it is all about. That and humor. One must have humor in this world. 'Tis an absolutely necessary tool for survival, and for an enjoyable existence as well. Well, apathy. Yes. Apathy is probably the human trait that I despise the most. To have no interest in reaching beyond one's grasp is to cease to exist. What is unfortunate is that many apathetic people only reach to pull others towards similar uselessness. To be apathetic is to truly waste one's life, and I find it both unfortunate and disgusting. Yes, that is to say, all of the above at one time or another. It was revenge which drove me to madness, and eventually to the realization that creativity is one's greatest power. I cannot regret anything that has happened in the past, for all is a learning experience and a path to where I am today. I now embrace my past, though I aim to focus on the future, and that future is intended to focus on creativity and vision and giant robots.
sanctuary in which I hide. Run the world into a dream, into a lie. And I am constructing this fantasy. Imagination saving me from the world I about loneliness? What about friends? What about winning and getting revenge? And what about all of the things that they've done? It's time for some payback. It's time for some fun. Well, it's gone. Well, it's gone.
How about, "Hey, Dr. Steel, would you like to own and operate my fleet of giant robots?" To which I, of course, answer, "Yes, please." Come on, man, by the sector. All right. Well, with the realization that I could do something, I spent too many years feeling rather helpless. My inspiration and creativity were dashed against the rocks. I was told that I should be happy working for someone else, even if I didn't agree with their vision. I was trapped. But once I realized that I held great power, I decided to actually do something about it. And in fact, once you realize the power that you hold, it is nearly impossible not to do something about your life. And this is the realization, the epiphany, that we must each experience and embrace. That we can change the world. More importantly, we can change our world. But we must stand up and actually do something about it. Well, basically, anything that would stifle my creativity. To be stuck doing something uncreative is to waste my life. I strive to create. I strive to explore new ideas. To be doing anything in an environment that does not nurture that or deters me from exercising this interest is to live in a prison. I've done this. I've lived in such an environment, and it is not pleasant. To this end, I have forged a new road, and I intend on paving such a path as to stretch across the entire planet. Barking dogs, and crying babies, or crying dogs and barking babies. It's all very unpleasant.
Hello everyone, and happy holidays. Well, the Christmas spirit certainly is upon us. The cash registers are ringing, the commercials are singing, and each and every one of us is looking forward to escaping the mundane reality of our everyday lives. Yes, Christmas is that special time of year where there is magic in the air. The collective brain energy of millions of people looking to leave their work behind and enjoy a day of happiness. It is magical indeed. And then, there are the toys. Oh, my loyal toy soldiers, fine supporters of the cause and dear friends, you have been ever so gracious this holiday season. My Christmas tree is simply overflowing with kind gifts. Thank you ever so much. I simply cannot wait until Christmas. And so, I won't. Oh, wow! It's a sweater with a robot head on it. Thank you. I'll put this on later. Right. Yeah. Dear Dr. Steel, I know that you love cookies, so I baked you a batch all by myself. Merry Christmas. I do love cookies. Well, it appears the Postal Service was less than delicate with this particular shipment. Yeah. Well, it is the thought that counts, and perhaps I can sprinkle this on my breakfast cereal tomorrow morning. All right. Okay. One more, and then that's it until Christmas. Let's see. This one is from, well, there's no card. It's it's a bomb. Thank you. Oh, goodness. Let's see. Just use this. I can definitely reuse one of these. Oh, thank you. This certainly is a very special holiday indeed. and I look forward to replacing this festive season with my own brand of international holiday once I take over the world. And with that, I would like to leave you with this special greeting from Santa Claus.
Have you been a good girl?
Yes?
Good. And what's your favorite product from World Domination Toys?
I want a Polly Pukes a lot.
Ah! Well, I just so happen to have been sitting on one here.
Oh, thank you, Santa.
Let's try it.
Gross.
Yes. Now, soldiers, have you been handing out all your propaganda this year?
Yes, sir. Permission to speak, Santa.
Permission granted.
Santa, since my whole family will be in town for Christmas, I wanted to recruit them all into Dr. Steel's army of toy soldiers. Do you still have any other mind control cookies that Dr. Steel gave you last year?
Sure. They're a little bit past the expiration date, but they should work. There you are.
Thanks, this should do the trick. Yes.
Now, taking over the world is our greatest goal. Be sure to get your family and parents to enlist.
All hail Dr. Steel!